I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Commanders podcast. I am Amit, that is KDot, and I think you guys know what we're going to be talking about today. There was a tweet from Sportico saying Dan Snyder has agreed to sell the team to Josh Harris and his group. It includes Mitchell Rales, Magic Johnson, and we couldn't be more excited about it. So we're going to talk about that. But also, on the court and off the court, Kyle Kuzma, Spencer Dinwiddie, they got into it a little bit. We had Spencer Dinwiddie on FanDuel TV talking about he's petty, said a few things. We're going to get into that. And then Kuzma had a pretty legendary Twitter thread in response. So jump into that, and then we get into the comment mailbag, as we always do, and after the pod. KDot, how are you doing today, man?
I am doing well. I'm noticing my camera went out of focus a little bit just now.
It did.
Not sure
It
why.
did.
I was trying to move my hat because I didn't like the symbol being right there in the middle.
There
It's
you go.
kind of offset it. Felt like
Yeah.
it was in a Wes Anderson movie, just trying to keep everything symmetrical. It's weird.
Yeah, well, excellent. Hey, why don't we go ahead and just get into it? So the big news broke. Dan Snyder agrees in principle to sell the Washington Commanders to Josh Harris, Mitchell Rales, Magic Johnson, maybe some other minority owners still to come.
33.
We were perhaps, honestly, perhaps, for $6.05 billion. Now, there are league meetings taking place in Minnesota in May, so that could be where it officially happens and gets submitted and approved by the owners and stuff like that. But this was, to me, KDot, just another step in the right direction. It's not cause for full celebration yet because nothing has been signed just yet, but another step in the right direction. What are your thoughts here?
Same thing, man. I mean, I think yesterday was one of those things where I think I've alluded to it here on the pod is that, like, well, let's back up for a second.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know about you, but for me, guys like Brendan, who we've had on the podcast, Packers fans, a lot of other people that want to see the doom and gloom and don't want to root for us, have for the last how many months find out some sort of way to make us feel as though maybe Dan's not going to sell the team. And I think there's some in the fan base that still believe that to a certain degree. How many times do you pop on Twitter or have a conversation with somebody else? I won't believe it until it's official, right?
Yep.
Now, we've been on the same page pretty much the entire program. Me maybe a little more than you, but we've been pretty much on the same page.
You definitely more than me. Let's be
All right,
real.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
Trying to
Take
get
the credit. Take the credit
Yeah.
there. No. You're
have
more than me.
been full set. Like, it's going to happen. I'm not concerned about it at all. And nobody's going to shake. Nobody's going to rock me from this, right?
Right.
And it felt as though what happened yesterday, even though if you really look at it, nothing really changed in any great shape or form. Like, but the idea is that I think it satiated that little voice, that was those intrusive thought voices that I think a lot of the fans have where, oh, maybe it won't happen. Maybe he's going to hold out for more money. Maybe they're not offering him enough. I think that happened, which is there was a big collective sigh of relief that a lot of the fan base had yesterday. And I'm cool with that. I'm good with that. But it's just one other step in the direction. Maybe it's a major step, but it's just another step.
I think the reason it maybe felt like more of a major step is because when Sportico released that tweet, right, and said that, hey, Dan Snyder's selling, we've seen tweets like that before. But this was the first time we had, you look fantastic, by the way. That's a great adjustment. This was the first time we had all local reporters on the team and NFL insiders at the national scale basically verify it and go, yeah, this is happening. And so I think that was the additional sort of emotional release for a lot of fans where they go, I guess we can trust this, because
Right.
I'm not going to lie. When I first saw the Sportico tweet, I was like, okay, I don't know the validity of the source. I see the gold check mark, but Twitter, who knows these days what that even means? So let's wait. And then you see JP Finley, then you see Kevin Sheehan, then you see, I think John Keim at one point also did, or at least had his own tweet saying, yep, I can say that this is true. This is what's happening. Everybody came out. And so all of a sudden you go, it is okay. You can celebrate. Even the most skeptical of fans, you can go ahead and enjoy this. We got Ian Rappaport, Rap Sheet, also tweeting. We got Adam Schefter keeping Steve Jargon alive in his bid and stuff like that. But this is real, man. It's as real as it gets, KDot.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, is that it's been so real for me. Like we did the guest spot on Ref the District. Shout out to those guys.
Shout out. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. They had basically everyone that does anything the Commanders and DC Sports Pod.
I love not having to edit after that. It was so fun being a guest on the show.
Now, you know,
I logged off and I was like, oh, that's great.
Now you feel doing this one. Right. All you do is say, hey, I need the thumbnail and the YouTube intro. Got it.
That's literally, yeah, there's a behind the curtain look at this show.
Yeah. Whereas every other podcast I'm on, it's fuck. Especially, I'm going to do one like, just a little bit off topic. I'm going to do another podcast later today with another guy. And what ends up happening is that the podcast has to upload to the cloud before I get to it. He's in Missouri, Brendan, and it takes at a minimum 4 hours for me to get the fucking file.
Oh,
pain in my ass.
That's annoying.
Right, but
go ahead.
I think the thing for me with this is because I've been so gung-ho on where it is I thought the process was, that it wasn't a huge news to me. Like I do, but I will give credit to, I'm glad a lot of other people feel a little more satiated with this, because it's been hard to be the guy that's sort of like, I'm not worried about it at all. And then you have everybody, and it's hard to criticize Commanders or Washington football team fans because of how much they've gone through and how much, anytime that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, it's a fucking freight train. So I get it. I understand. But yeah, it's good to know that it's going to happen. And I guess it's good to know that other people know that it's going to happen. We still don't know if it's going to be Josh Harris. It most likely will be Josh Harris.
Correct.
This Jeff Bezos thing is still in the same territory it's always been, which is he hasn't submitted a bid.
I think Dan's still waiting, to be honest.
That's the thing. It's like, what I really thought behind the scenes this week was basically Dan and Jeff talking through the media. That's what I thought, is what I'm saying, is that maybe one portion of Jeff might be saying, Dan, can you keep my name out of your fucking mouth to rise up the bids? Like, would you just stop? And there's another part of me that's like, no, Dan is doing everything he possibly can do, and maybe Jeff doesn't give a shit, to raise because Charles Gasparino, the dude we always
Snyder's mouthpiece. Yeah, shout out Gasparino, who has now been like, dude, Snyder should be businessman of the year, and look at his return on this.
Looks like he's in Mar-a-Lago fucking tweeting for Trump over here.
Probably is.
Like,
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is. It's absurd.
It's his tweets are absolutely absurd. But it's the
shout out.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. He's gone. I'm not worried about it. He's fucking gone. I'm on the same level of elation I have been ever since the first fucking congressional hearing.
On the topic of Jeff Bezos bidding, I was talking to Max Ebert, who actually, here's a throwback. He did the very first episode of District Divided with me. The original plan was we were going to co-host, and then after episode 1, he was like, I don't think I could do it.
But the dude that was with you when you were trying to figure out your new fandom?
No, that's
right.
That's Robert. Shout out Robert.
I watched that video this morning.
Oh, it's great.
Ben Robinson retweeted it. And I was
who will be on the show next week, author of grindingthebox.com. We're going to go through the data and see what's most likely to occur, who's being mocked to us the most, what position, what player. We're going to get into all of that next week. Man, what were we even talking? Oh, Max. So no. That's fine. That's on me for not holding the point. On the topic of Jeff Bezos, he speculated that given how petty Dan Snyder can be, maybe he was trying to publicly fish out a Jeff Bezos bid so that he could then say no. Do you believe that to be the case?
No.
I don't either. But he was thinking from a humiliation standpoint. My counter was, I don't think Bezos is capable of being humiliated in this situation. He has so much money that he would just buy another team later and be in the NFL anyway.
I will say this. I did have this fleeting thought.
Yeah.
You heard the number is $6.05 billion.
Yes, we did.
Right.
Oh, it's floating.
The 0.05 to me sounds like something happened. So like it feels
I would agree with you, by the way. I think that's a good point.
I don't know what's happened, but it feels like something happened.
Yeah, how do you get to that?
It feels petty, or it feels like somebody
won't do it for 6. Must be over. Fine. 0.05.
Right. Like the 6.0, when I see that number, I'm like, huh. So I don't know what it means. I have no idea. I won't even begin to speculate what it was.
Is it fully guaranteed?
Who knows?
Or is it incentive based?
Depending on how. No, you know what? Fuck that.
Lamar's
Give
like,
us
can't get a
Pro.
fully guaranteed one. Dan's like, shit, me too, man. None of us can
But
get a fully guaranteed deal.
But
here.
it felt like such a weird number. I mean, I get it. The 0.05 is what, $50 million? So it's like, all right, it's not. So I don't know if Dan's like, well, I want an unlimited supply of brunch in Monaco, so you got to give me an additional $50 million. Like, I don't know what that is, but I
The
feel
Monaco
like that,
brunch fund.
that to
That's
me
the
feels
50
like
million.
that is a Dan Snyder, Josh Harris conversation that did occur over what that 0.05 meant.
Does that mean RG3?
Maybe.
Is that the 0.05? He's like, I'm in. I made it.
That's what Dan said. I need you to put an additional RG3. He's my guy. You know, fuck Mike Shanahan.
Yeah, we get it over 6 billion. That's a win for me. My guy RG3, who I'm still tight with, he comes in. I mean, everyone.
I
wins.
did see RG3 was on TV yesterday because they keep asking him about him, and then he's now trying to clam up a bit. He's like, oh yeah, there's some stuff happening behind the scenes. I just can't really talk about it all, you know. But I'm hoping. And he did say, look, I like RG3 a ton.
Mhm.
Even though I got some behind the scenes stories about that man. Yeah, but his he did say something here. He said, I know they're loving it in my city, and I was like, you qualify for that yet?
I mean, I was gonna say, yeah,
I don't know.
it's a hell of a year. His rookie year. That was
Not denying it was awesome.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the last time we could actually legitimately feel good about it, and then we all know how it came crash and burning. Thus, light freight train analogy.
Absolutely. Yep, that is true. So just to summarize, folks, I mean, we're on the same page here. It's a step in the right direction. Look out for the league meetings in May. As of right now, it seems like it is trending in that direction, and we could have new ownership as soon as that, which also means, based on timeline, we're looking correct. Because last week, KDot, I had asked you, and I think we're on the same page about this. If you were to order these three events chronologically from soonest to latest, we had the Rodgers deal going through, we had Snyder selling, and we had Lamar's situation being resolved, whatever that means. Yep. As of right now, I think we're on track for that, because if the Snyder sale is going to happen in May officially, let's assume, and we continue to believe that the Rodgers deal has to occur before the draft, surely, or on draft day, be kind of wild if it doesn't. You can always call it a post-June.
It might be.
You could still do that though.
Yeah, I still think we're right, but there have been some interesting developments in all three, right? So like the word has come out that what the Packers and the Jets have not talked in almost a month.
That doesn't surprise me, honestly.
Makes sense. I mean, everybody's kind of dug down as far as what it is they need, so maybe something gets pulled on draft night. And then you have what the Ravens, they went and they signed OBJ.
15 million guaranteed, could go up to 18. Pretty wild, honestly. When considering he said, I just don't want to sign for 4 million. I'm not asking for 20. They just 4x'd it. I mean, that's wild from the Ravens. Go ahead.
But it feels like, I mean, you saw the pictures of them in the club or whatever, or the signage and all that
Which
stuff.
I don't know what Lamar is doing in that respect.
No idea.
I don't think he should have done that. I mean,
I don't know what it means at all. Like, I just don't know.
No one knows. I think everyone's super.
I would
confused.
feel like Lamar had to have something to do with it. But I don't know how that shakes out. I will say, I have no idea.
Anyway, go ahead.
Lamar asks for a trade, and now he recruits OBJ. I know
this seems hype about it. Posts on Instagram about it. Them FaceTiming, then they're partying together. It just seems like if you're holding out for that fully guaranteed deal, or whatever deal it is, you probably shouldn't be showing excitement to play with a new player, because then I think Baltimore's thinking, okay, we got you on the tag, right? Like, I don't know. The whole thing is interesting, to say the least. But yeah, anyway, going all the way back, it seems like those events could happen in that order that we mentioned last week. And this is very exciting news overall, because now everyone seems to be jumping on with the credibility. All these reporters are coming in and saying, yeah, this is very real. It is in principle, and once again, that does mean that it's not official, and that somebody else could jump in with a $6.1 billion bid or a $7 billion bid. Who knows? It's not official yet for Josh Harris and Co. That's probably why they're not commenting. They were asked to comment. They did not. They want to see this go over the line. As of right now, signs point to that being the case, that this does go over the line for them, but it's not over till it's over. Echoing fan sentiments about dance selling, but it does seem like he's going
another wrench in it. Basically, right now it's hey, I agree. And does anyone think Dan Snyder's not capable of lying somebody in their face and then backing out of something if it's not official?
And that's where the previous fears and hallucinations and whatnot are like, oh my gosh, what if he doesn't? He will.
That's what I'm saying. It hasn't changed anything for me. Like, that's all I'm saying.
So yesterday, so that must have been a lot of fun for you, just like seeing all the excitement and stuff like that. And you're like, yeah, I know.
I started second guessing myself because I said it on Ref the District, but I said it I was driving through DC. I had a business meeting in DC yesterday, and then after I had the meeting, I don't buy cigarettes in DC or Maryland, so I go across the river to Virginia to buy my cigs. A lot cheaper. So as I'm driving to go get my cigs before I head back up to Bmore, my phone just starts blowing up. And I see all the alerts, and as a matter of fact, we're in the same text group on WhatsApp. Our boy Lex, he tweets, and I'm like, all right, that feels too official. So I turn on 106.7, and it's B Mitch is on. I don't even know who the fuck he was with.
Probably JP, right?
I don't. For some reason, I feel
was
like
Finley not
JP.
on.
I don't think he was on yesterday, but maybe he was. I don't know. I don't listen to the radio that much anymore. So I turn, and then I'm like, hold on, everybody, they're taking calls on this. Everybody makes it feel like it's. So I was like, I had to get where am I when I'm hearing this news? Take it all in. Is this the thing? Is this where I gotta? And I turned on a go-go playlist. I'm going on a deep.
You're an autopilot.
So I was like, am I too calm about this, or am I reading this properly? Because it felt like everybody was like, hey, popping champagne bottles. Where's the parade happening? And I was just kind of like.
And we talked about it yesterday on Ref the District as well. And I think even just you and I individually, which was that, hey, it's not over yet. I read the tweet. I saw local reporters and stuff tweeting about it and the excitement. And I was like, all right. And then I went to the gym, had lunch. It was like, okay, nothing's signed yet. So the moment that happens. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, then absolutely.
Breaking out 30, 40-year-old whiskey I'm like, hold up. What are we doing?
Nothing's been signed. It's going to happen, yet. But nothing's official.
Right. We're eager. People are ready to jump the gun on this pitch. I get it.
It is okay to be excited.
Yes.
It is okay to also acknowledge it's not done yet. Both things can be true. Both things are true. So just pump the brakes a little bit just to be clear. But yeah, no, I mean, all signs point to it happening. Any final thoughts on this before we move on to basketball?
I just can't wait till it's over. There is a patience factor that I'm having for everybody. But yeah, there's a part. I'm now at the stage where it's like, all right, guys, we just let's wrap this thing up. It needs, to me, I just want to see it happen before the league meetings, just because as much as this will be the biggest story and it'll be the biggest thing that I feel as far as happening in this franchise in my rememberable lifetime, because I don't remember the first Super Bowl. I was too young.
Same.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's exciting, and I can't wait to have that celebration.
Mm-hmm.
But I also realize that what I'm celebrating is the end of a net negative era. I just want to be able to be a regular football fan. That's what we're fighting for.
Yes.
Is the ability to be a regular football fan, right? Is to get rid of the morality clause that we've had, that everyone's kind of being ashamed of being sort of a fan of this team in certain regards, or knowing,
or being questioned.
Or being questioned about it and not having all the answers immediately. I want to be able to be a regular fan. Does not mean success is just around the corner. I'm wishing that that's the case. And because Dan Snyder deserves all the worst in the world, maybe that will be the case. But yeah, that's where. So I just think that there needs to be. There's been such a dearth of things to celebrate when it comes to this football team. I just think that we need to be more measured in our approach when it comes to it.
Yes, I don't think you could have said it any better than that, to be honest. And so I feel the same way. I'm looking forward to this being done as well. And I think first and goal now feels appropriate here.
Yeah.
In this situation, I would say first and goal makes a lot more sense. Let's jump over to the hardwood, where Spencer Dinwiddie and the Brooklyn Nets are in the playoffs. As the 6th seed, they're going to be taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. But he was on FanDuel TV, and I believe it was Michelle Beadle, who I hadn't seen in a long. Yeah, I hadn't seen her in a long time. Shout out Michelle Beadle. I actually love her. I think she's awesome.
I've heard some stories about what happens in Bristol, though. But I love you.
Yeah. That's fair enough. But she basically asked about the whole Kyle Kuzma thing, about talking about the Wizards and them not playing winning basketball. And he was asked to sort of clarify those comments, and he was allowed to go off. And it was a 3-minute video. And he went in on Kuzma specifically, talking about the way he dresses, how maybe his priorities aren't all there, and he's just been playing to get a bag. And then Kuzma responded in a Twitter thread that has 14,000 retweets. And for those that aren't familiar with the Twitterverse, that is a ton. Like, you have no idea how many that is if you're not familiar with Twitter. That is enormous. So a lot of eyes on this. Called him Din Shitty. He said, we got a lot of real estate over there on Din Shitty Island. That the reason the Brooklyn Nets are in the playoffs are not because of Spencer Dinwiddie. It would be because of KD and Kyrie building up enough of a record. And then once Dinwiddie was there, they were sub 500. There were a lot of things said, including Kuzma being like, yeah, and I am getting it back. What are you going to do about it? Enjoy the clicks, using me for clout. So that was quite the electric, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday, where we were just like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this now. KDot, what'd you think of that whole exchange?
Was it on this podcast that I felt as though I should apologize to Spencer Dinwiddie? I think it was like a few weeks. All right. Here's what I'll say on that. I kind of take it back. While I will agree with this aspect from Spencer, and you have to kind of dig through the weeds to get to this particular point, is to go back to an interview that he did. I even forget the show or whatever, something I alluded to like a month or two ago, where he talked about his situation with the Wizards, and he felt as though they were directionless or aimless. I think that's true. I do think that's true. As for everything else that's going on in this entire Twitter beef and all that shit, Spencer, for lack of better terminology, you're acting like a bitch. Like, if you go back through the timeline of this thing, right? Spencer gets traded to Dallas after he's here in Washington
for a cup of coffee. I mean, he was here for like 30 games or something like that, 40 games.
It's really fucking weird. Then we beat them by 32 points. 32 points. I was at that game. And they played a tribute video to Spencer, which was weird because, like you said, he was here for a fucking cup of coffee. So even more respectful than we need to be there to him, right? He then goes in the press conference and says, let them go into the offseason. We'll be going to the playoffs. You just lost by 32, but okay, cool, whatever. Do what you need to do, Spence. Then they play this year. Wiz beat the Mavs again. Kuz goes up in the presser, remembering what it is that Spencer said last time. It says, we did a good job. Their team is a little limited outside of Luka, because they're asking about exactly what do you got to do after. He says, yeah, the team's a little limited after Luka. Right now, we are in okay territory as far as back and forth, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely a little bit of beef, micro beef. It ain't no serious beef. They're trading some barbs in the press conferences. We're good to go. Then January happens. In the press conference after the game, Spencer says they aren't really playing for anything for real. It's a showcase. They aren't trying to play winning basketball. They are trying to get paid. The Wizards won that game. And afterwards, Kuzma then uses Spencer's own words against him. The funny thing is they don't play winning basketball, and in every emoji you could possibly think of afterwards. You talk about 3 games up, 3 games down. Wizards win. Spencer wants to talk shit afterwards after each one of the losses. It's like, what are we doing, right? And then you have Spence now goes to Brooklyn, and as you said, as Kuz said, surviving off everything that KD and those guys did at the earlier point in the season, they're sub 500 since he gets on the team, and now he goes on the show with Michelle Beadle. He has every opportunity to walk away from that. He has every opportunity to throw water on it. He's got every opportunity to take the higher road, as he says that he's doing, to do that. And then he drops bomb after bomb, personally attacking Kuz. It crossed the line the moment back after that January game where he started talking about them playing for money or them playing the showcase. You crossed the line at that point. Like, to me, is now you talk about a dude's dollars and cents. You talk about what makes them tick. You talk about what is you cross the line when it comes to a basketball community sort of standpoint. And you're just firing fucking off. And the thing is, you're only doing it because you feel some sort of way that you're in the playoffs now. Even though, as everyone knows, Kuzma has a fucking championship, guy. And you're talking about like he rolled out of LA on his own. He had no choice. They wanted Russell Westbrook. They traded his ass. Like, there was no getting around it. Kuzma didn't say, I need to get out of here to get myself paid. No, he got traded. Like, it's what happened. And I think what Spencer's doing is he's angry and upset that it seems as though nobody fucking wants him because he's been on how many teams in how many fucking years. He's feeling some sort of way about the way the media or the team thought about him when he was here in Washington. Even though on surface level, you got fucking tribute videos in games that you don't deserve. So I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. Spencer right now seems as though he's a dude that isn't happy with himself. You want to talk about insecurities? It is nothing but insecurity steaming off of fucking Spencer Dim shitty right now. Like, it's what it is. And Kuz, all credit in the world, guy. Like, the thing is, in all honesty, dropping fucking flames and bars in every fucking one of those tweets. And Spencer to try to do that, you know what I hate more than anything? When a motherfucker talks about or tries to act as though he's above the fray and is still actively involved in the reason it's happening. It's hypocritical and it's bullshit, and I lose respect for you.
Yeah. Excellent summary, by the way. Just the timeline of the whole thing and then where the line was crossed. I really appreciated that, KDot. I will say that in situations like this, there's truth on both sides. There's pettiness on both sides. I think this is one of those things where on FanDuel TV, Michelle knew what she was doing. She was trying to spark a flame. That's her job.
One microsecond.
Yeah.
Do you know how he opened before he started talking on the
you know I'm
FanDuel
petty,
TV?
right? Yeah.
You gave it away.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So like, and then Michelle's like, yeah, go off. Like, literally exactly what FanDuel TV wanted because they asked for it. And Spencer, unfortunately, is probably honest to a fault and took it too far. And you could see exactly where his brain was at. But he also, I think the very first time he spoke, it was refreshing. This isn't the FanDuel TV bit. It was refreshing for fans because he had a platform where he could basically explain what fans are feeling, right? There's no direction. What the heck is going on over here? I mean, if you look at the Wizards over the past, 5-6 years, 35-47 this past season, 35-47 last season. So literally no change. 34-38 the year before that, 25-47, 32-50, 43-39, 49-33. That was Scott Brooks' very first year coaching. We were like, oh, maybe we have a coach here. Nope. 41-41, 46-36, 44-38, 29-53, 20-46, 23-59, 26-56. I could be making this up at this point. I'm not, but you wouldn't know any better because that's the team, right? We're hovering between that 49's an outlier, frankly, between 44 wins and probably 28. So where are you going? So I think Spencer had a really good point there. One thing he did mention on the FanDuel TV interview is that how do you have three max guys in Kuzma, Porzingis, and Beal and not make the playoffs? I think from that perspective, he's also correct. Beal played 50 games. Porzingis played 65. And shout out Porzingis, by the way, who had a career year and is able to stay on the floor. That one of our concerns was, why are we trading for this guy if he can't stay on the floor? I think he's actually done a pretty decent job staying on the floor and endearing himself to Wizards fans. So props to him. And Kuzma, inconsistent, but when he's on, my goodness. So a lot of fans really like Kyle Kuzma as well. And I think he was also right. And he had every right to respond on Twitter and say the things that he did. So I don't fault him either. This should have never happened, though. This whole thing should have never happened. Whole thing being the FanDuel TV thing. Spencer should have just been like, hey, that was then. We're focused on the 76ers. Let's just move on. Because look at what's happening. Brooklyn must hate this. They're playing against the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid, who is probably going to be the MVP here. Now more and more of these MVP votes are coming out publicly. And they're talking about this? I'd be furious if I was a teammate of his. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't know. You seem to feel the type of way about this, KDot.
It had to happen.
Had to happen?
It had to happen. It's Spencer. Like, this is the thing that it's him. Like, what it's doing for me is recontextualizing everything that's happened, right? So, like, I allude to the interview that he gives when he talks about the directionless of the Wizards, and I just wanted to know what we were doing. It sounded on a surface level, okay, that's right. And I agree. As fans, and you go through the records, and you go through how middling we've been as a fucking franchise, we look for people to blame. Spencer kind of provided a little bit of light and clarity as far as the situation, even though if we're looking at it completely honestly, did he really give us any light to it? Do we all not just watching the product know that it's
no? But it was more the platform where someone was able to
Fair enough. But the thing is, you have to look at it in the context of everything he's done post this. You can tell that there is some sort of animosity that he holds against this fucking franchise. He does hold some animus there. There have been multiple occasions as I go through the list ever since he left here that he's gone out of his way to throw shade at this club. And the thing is, you can tell when you the same way you saw about what the way that Brooklyn probably feels about him right now is the same thing that Kuz is saying in that tweet as far as the real estate they have on Dinwiddie Island. The word that I was hearing constantly when he was here was, this is a dude that tried to step up to be some sort of leader. And everybody looked at him like, have you lost your fucking mind? Like, we're not following you of anyone. And it felt some sort of way to him. But the thing is, if you start looking at it, can't you get the sense everybody's been around that coworker that like thinks that they're high and mighty, but they're truly not. They're just as petty and as full of bullshit as anybody else would be. And that's what he feels like. He himself, through not anything else, has kind of solidified who he is through his actions through all these different events. Trying to pretend that you're high and mighty, trying to pretend that you're above the fray. And then you give it all away in the beginning. You know I'm petty, right? Well, you can't be petty and you can't do that, man. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So, like, that you can see he leaves a trail of fucking tears. You can see the contract that he signed. They trade his ass before the fucking season was over. And now he's been bouncing from fucking place to place to place as a mid-value trade value just to make other things happen. He's an afterthought. He's always an afterthought. It's what can we put in a trade package to make the guy that we actually give a shit about work.
And if we're dealing in honesty, as Spencer wants to, that is a harsh reality, unfortunately. You know, and the thing is, you know, you see even Spencer's post-game press conference. This was way back when Kobe, you know, passed away, and we were talking about, you know, Kobe Bryant and his legacy, and you can see Dinwiddie get emotional. Actually went viral. Like, you know how much he cares about the game, and I think that's why he thinks he's high and mighty and above everything, because he cares about the game. It validates everything. Unfortunately, not the case. But gives us something to talk about here. Hopefully the Wizards do luck into a top 3 pick, top 5 pick even. Right now, 8th best odds, I believe.
Also, one other thing.
Go ahead.
Rick Fox did not deserve that string. I fucking
not.
hate the Lakers. I can't stand the Lakers.
Oh, Rick Fox, he clapped back. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I saw. Good job, Rick.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
I'm doing an Oz on HBO rewatch, which is one of the most fucked up shows in the history of television, and Rick Fox is actually a character on the show. I mean, he's an actor. That is how messy you are. You're just messy. And also, kudos to Kuz. You got a ring, and he didn't even have to use it in his clapback.
That is a good point. He never once did.
Dope.
Never once did. Let's jump over to the comment mailbag, where we have 2 comments from this past week's episode. Shout out to both ViNdOh and Tony.
ViNdOh donate.
ViNdOh donate. Beginning with ViNdOh. Love the pod, guys. Keep up the great work. Options on teams potentially playing on Thursday night more than once. I think it's ducked, but curious to how it would work. So, Kate, I don't know if you've been following that story. The NFL would like the possibility for teams to play multiple Thursday night games. I'll be honest, I think it's one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard. What do you think?
I think it's dumb as shit. I don't like the Thursday night game to begin with. If you look at the Thursday night product last year, was anyone really happy with the slate of games we had? So even from an entertainment standpoint, we all kind of powered through because it was football. But none of us were happy about it. Like at one point, they were wondering whether or not our guy Al Michaels should just retire because they killed his love of football on those Thursday night fucking games.
Such low scoring games. It was very much
terrible.
a participation trophy of like, we need to give you a primetime game. Give them the Thursday one.
And the thing is, like, we're in the territory right now where unless they are opening up for 2 bye weeks, I think that we've reached a point of fuck this.
Yeah.
Like I've already at the point of fuck this. I don't like the 17 games. I don't like and I get people, well, it's more football. Don't you like more football? I do to a certain degree, but it's the same reason why, like, when it comes to basketball and it comes to hockey and it comes to baseball, the reason I don't watch the fucking regular season is that the games don't matter. In football, what matters to me is each game is so fucking vital that it is must-see TV because every loss could count towards the completely unraveling of your season. So, like, the idea that they're going to constantly want, like, hey, we need to get more, we need to do more, we need to do this, we need to do that. I'd like to see every team maybe play internationally. Like, keep within the same wheelhouse, right? Let's start doing something we can do to spread the name of the game instead of just, hey, we need more television revenue.
Right.
On another fucking week of football.
Unfortunately, dollars are king. As we know, you can just tell from the decision making. The fact that this is even a conversation suggests so. You look at the efficacy of the 7 seed. What has a 7 seed done yet? Like, it's just nothing. Unfortunately, nothing. So it really is just another game. Yeah, I think it's very dumb. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm erring on the side of I'd be surprised if it does not happen. These guys are going to push through. It doesn't really matter what people think. It's unfortunate, but that's the deal. And then Tony, shout out Tony. Ding dong, yacht bitch is gone in principle. Somebody smoke a yacht bitch pack for me. Also, did you guys see the EB Duran Payne video on the team channel? It's a good watch. I did not see the EB Duran Payne video. Okay. Oh, well, Tony, we'll have to get back to you probably next week on that in that case. But appreciate the comment. He is gone in principle. Yacht bitch is gone in principle. I really like that. ... In principle. We are that much closer. And man, I think we will have to do like a celebratory show. We talked to Ref the district about coming on, but like the OGs, I think, need to come on. We need to finally reach out and be like, yo, come on, you've been with us this whole time. I think it would be pretty cool.
Like, I have not drank hard liquor since I was in the Outer Banks in August of last year. And even before that, I don't really drink. I will get fucked up.
For sure. Wait till you see the editing on that one.
Oh, we fuck edit. Just throw the bitch up. We should do it live. We might actually do a live show.
Yeah, it'd just be like, yep, and we're done.
Just fucking wing it.
Yeah,
we ain't got to worry about yacht bitch suing bitch overseas.
What's gonna happen to the yacht tracker? Is it still gonna be tracked, or do you think they just give up on it? They're like, you know what, we're good.
If I'm him, no, it's a legacy thing, right? You keep it's. I would keep and still do the tracking of the yacht at least to some degree. Just the same way, I think it's a part of the team's history, just as much as the Hoggets. Like, that's a darker part of the history, but it's all part of it.
The dream would be to have it be one of the first images on the big board at RFK once they move to RFK. You just see where the yacht is. That's the favorite. And everyone, I guarantee you, everyone would go nuts because that's what it's coming to, is the combination and blend of social media with physical places. Like, if you suddenly see the yacht tracker on the big screen at the very first game at RFK or wherever it may be, the place would go nuts.
Have a little ticker. This is how many miles away yacht bitch is.
And it just keeps increasing. And like,
yeah. He's nowhere near.
Oh, he's actually getting further away. Oh my gosh. And that was the Comment Mailbag, and this was the show. This is District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Commanders podcast, though we do talk about other DC sports, just like we did with the Kuzma Dinwiddie beef. I am Amit, that is KDot. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, and you know what, I'm going to go ahead and say it. If you didn't, please subscribe. Please like the video. It helps us go a long way. Please comment so that we can read those out each and every week, as we always like to do, and interact with you guys. And please share the video with people. We appreciate you guys. After the pod begins right now. What a whirlwind of a week, KDot.
It's been fairly crazy, but the days just like blow by to me. I'm either out and about, like going from meeting to meeting,
Yeah.
or I'm in this basement and don't see daylight, like days sometimes. Like I'm just down here,
Huh.
just fucking working. But it's fun. I have fun.
No, I mean, you have to. I've had like so for the longest time, I'm sure everyone wants to hear about this. I had left knee pain. Okay. And for those that know me, I love soccer. I'm obsessed with the sport. I grew up playing it. Like it's such a big part of my life. And to have left knee pain while you're playing soccer is one of the worst things possible because you can't plant properly. You can't go into tackles. Those that know me also know I don't really go into tackles, so they're gonna laugh at that. But like you lose a lot of shot power, you lose a lot of accuracy and stuff like that because you just don't trust literally 50% of your legs. And so it's very, very difficult. But more recently, I managed to fix the knee pain by reading a book, funnily enough, which had to do with emotional pain and stress and it manifesting itself as physical pain so that you were distracted from the emotional pain.
Huh.
Your brain basically goes, this emotional pain is so much that we want to avoid it. We are going to produce physical pain so that you focus on that instead. And so once you basically identify that blind spot and you trust that everything's okay, the pain actually disappears. It's genuinely fascinating. And so for the last few months, I have not had knee pain. And now I've gone off the deep end where I'm almost experimenting with telling my brain what I can and cannot do, showing it images, so visualization that like, athletes and I guess CEO and that people talk about when they're like, hey, I need to manifest this.
Right.
It's been fascinating. So like, it's been a really trippy week because I've really been diving deep into that realm of like, what can I show my brain is possible, and will it devote the resources to me once it lowers the guardrails?
It's an amazing concept. I mean, my left knee, doctors told me over a decade ago that I was looking at a full knee replacement by the time I was like 45, 50.
Yeah.
Everything in my knee is broken. So like there's no meniscus really in the, I could feel it rattling around. I had an ACL tear and a couple other ligament tears, but I didn't have health insurance, so I never got fixed.
Mm.
And then, right now I'm dealing on my left knee with, what do they call it? It's like it's Achilles something. I went to the doctor. It's
Okay.
basically, they tell me I just got to ice and stay off of it for like a week. I can't
Okay.
stay off my legs for an entire week just because of work. So
Right.
it's just, every other day I'm in excruciating Achilles pain. But when you said that about unlock your brain is I've been talking to some people because I'm starting to line up to start getting into microdosing shrooms. And
I'm not even kidding. That's literally where my brain started going towards, was like, the next step here is I wonder, because I don't really take drugs. Well, I don't. I don't really.
Not really.
I don't. But
you
like,
dabble in cocaine with your Clarendon trips.
You know what's funny is I'm actually going to Clarendon later today in the afternoon because my boss is having us over at his place to celebrate the end of the project.
People don't do afternoon coke bumps. You ever been to Wall Street? Come on, man.
But the whole point, and we'll get back to you microdosing shrooms, is that my brain is beginning to go, I think this is why people do drugs, because it probably lowers the guardrails automatically and makes you believe in certain things a hell of a lot easier than what I'm doing, which is a lot of trial and error and a more sober mindset and seeing what happens.
That's all it is. That's like, you get alcoholics to drink to mask thinking about anything. And you got people like me that I do drugs to get rid of second guessing, to stop overthinking, to stop I need to unlock certain gates. So like, I'm more of a creative. I write, I do art, like I'm very much a creative mind. And the thing with me is that in my line of work is a lot of creativity. I've got to design stuff. I got to roll out ideas. I've got to here's a marketing initiative, and this is the aesthetic, and this is this, that, and the other that I don't want to see for that. And the only way that I get to it is getting high as shit in the middle of the night and then doing majority of my work, because it keeps all the doubting away. It makes me feel more confident in what it is I'm doing. And when I do it and I complete certain projects to then roll out during the day, I'm like, this is gold. Like I know that if I had thought about it during the day with all the other shit that I have to think about, and all the other worries and insecurities that I have, I get myself to a point where nothing gets done, or I don't like anything that is getting done. So it's always about like what it is that I need to do to unlock certain channels. That's why I started doing the floating, the sensory deprivation tanks that we've talked about.
Yeah.
And it's the main reason I want to start. I'm looking into what strain of mushrooms, and I've already got the dehydration process going. I know exactly what it is, how much I'm going to do.
Okay.
I just also need to find out the day that I can give it a shot, because biggest part about microdosing is figuring out the right dosage, and usually you fuck it up the first time. So I need a day or two to recover if I fuck it up.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I didn't imagine after the pod was going to be like, you should try some drugs. Yeah, but it's like,
I'm all about
it. But that's the beauty of after the pod, man, is that we literally go anywhere and everywhere with this segment. I really enjoy it for that reason. And
drugs are dope.
Yeah,
drugs are fucking awesome.
Well, I'm beginning to shift my mindset on it. Once again, still haven't taken it or any for those watching, except I did weed brownie in Russia one time by accident. Someone was just offering them outside of FanFest, and they were just like, "Do you want a brownie?" I was like, "Yeah, I want a brownie." I didn't think twice about it. I was like, "I'm hungry. Yeah, let me get 2."
And I'm fucking getting Brittany Griner.
Jesus,
Russia, you crazy son of a bitch! Like the paranoia on a weed brownie.
I missed. So Argentina was playing Nigeria. I missed 60 minutes of the game staring at a fucking cloud. And then I like sobered up and I was like, "Holy shit, what happened?" Like the game started. Not only did it start, we're 60 minutes in. Like it was scary.
I find it hard pressed for people to criticize people that do drugs without trying. So like to me, it's like learning or getting to experts to figure out exactly what it is, the dosage and things like that. I'm not doing drugs responsibly. There are also, you got to know oneself, right? Made the joke about all the cocaine you do in Clarendon. I'm jealous of all the cocaine you do in Clarendon. I'm gonna make sure I say that constantly if anyone wants to clip it.
In case anyone wants to clip it.
Here's cocaine. I've never done it. There's only one reason.
In case anyone
I've
wants to clip that.
Yeah, okay. There's only one reason I've never done it, is because I know if I ever did coke, it's the only thing I'd ever want in this world.
Okay. This is like you going to New Orleans.
Yes. I know that if I do, like, I've talked to enough cokehead. There's a guy who used to be my trainer back at a place I worked, and he talked to me about what it was like to be on cocaine, and he never made anything sound so great. He's like, "Hey man, yeah, no, that's the entire reason I worked here, man. I was at like $300-$400 a day." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah,
it's this type of conversation, which is why when YouTube is like, "Is this made for kids?" I'm like, "Fuck no." Yeah, this is not. Anyway, go ahead.
He's like, "You ever doubt yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How would you like to feel to be 100% about everything you do, to know that the only thing that you're doing right now is the best thing ever?" And I'm like, "That sounds awesome. Well, you gotta fucking do coke." He's like, "Okay, I want to do coke. I really want to do coke, but I know that I have an extremely addictive personality. It would be bad. I want to try heroin so badly." Like, I know it sounds nuts, right? But when you start thinking about it, all the best jazz players, if you like jazz, you like heroin by proxy. So like all the guys they were all on heroin. Do you like a Jimi Hendrix riff? Guess what he was on? Fucking heroin.
This seems like if heroin were legal, let's say, it would be funny if you were like listening to something on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube or something like that, and then the ads that are targeted are certainly just heroin ads, because just by association, you gotta love this, man.
So like the thing is that you get, so like I'm never so heroin scares me because of there are a lot of things that go wrong with it, plus the addictive factor, and if you get addicted, then it's a hard downturn there on it. Now,
that's your life. Boom. Yeah, sure.
Boom. I do know of people that can do it responsibly, which is weird, and seeing them do it responsibly is a just from what you know and you gauge about it, it's just like, huh? But there is a part of me that's like, when you hear somebody on heroin describe what that shit feels like, and they're like, "Oh, it just feels like you're in a cloud, and it feels like you just got the warmest, softest pillows just rubbing all over you while somebody's licking your balls." I'm like, oh yeah, I want heroin. So it's like, you start there's just so much shit out there. But then there's also like, you got to know yourself as far as, do you have an addictive personality? But you also got to know almost all the shit that's out there on the street right now, all laced with bad shit. I ain't trying to get no fucking fentanyl in me. So it's like, those are bad. There are bad drugs. Fentanyl's one of them bad drugs, right? So it's like, fentanyl's only bad because it's like heroin, like incarnate. It's like the purest form, aesthetic, but it's too much. So it's like, you got, I don't know. I'm for full blown legalization of all of it. While I don't think Americans are prepared for it, because I do think that we're overall as a country, as much as we're great, we're also stupid as shit.
I would describe America as an addictive personality person if it were to be personified. I think once you make all this stuff legal, I could see any number of crippling addictions occur. My thing is, I don't necessarily mind. So here's where it gets interesting for me. So drugs have a negative connotation. The moment you say drugs, right? People are like, oh, for the most part. Others are like, yeah, all right, let's have that conversation.
They don't judge you there.
Well, I wouldn't know. But unlike KDot would lead you.
Let's go to Spotted Kelly's. I need you.
But the I was talking to a coworker the other day, and she was like, "Oh yeah, no, I spent my weekend in Clarendon," and I just started laughing because I was like, "Oh, KDot would have loved that." just hearing that. But drugs they do get a negative rep. But then, alcohol, for example, and I drink. I mean, drunk driving is a very real issue. But like when it comes to like smoking weed, you're just mostly, from my understanding, just chilling at home. Like you're not putting anyone in danger. So when I see like the NFL suspending people for weed, like props to the NBA for recently saying, hey, we're just not testing for marijuana anymore. Like it seems to help. It seems to help people recover from injuries. Like the legalization of weed has been through quite the fucking journey, and it seems to be fairly safe when done properly. I would be curious to see what happens with these other drugs once, weed takes its certain steps. Can these other ones? I have no idea.
Portugal.
Who's honestly arbitrating all this?
Look at Portugal. They legalized everything, and look at what they've been able to accomplish.
I didn't even know that. They've legalized everything.
Years ago. I think it's Portugal. Yeah. They legalized everything. It's over a decade ago. And they treat... So this the thing is, like, they treat drug use and abusing of drugs as a health crisis, as a health issue, which is that's the issue. That's the problem, is that we look at it. There's a disdain that we have for it, and yet we're hypocritical with certain things that we're okay with. We're completely cool with you getting completely hopped up when addicted to caffeine. Everybody's cool with it. Everybody's had a Red Bull,
sugar,
energy drinks, sugar, alcohol, as we've talked about. You can't go anywhere without getting smacked.
The one where more and more studies are coming out, porn. It's like literally physically changing your brain if you watch too much of it, and it affects your sex life. Yeah, absolutely.
You start realizing that everything needs moderation. Like even the weed thing. I'm your number one guy that says weed is great, right? But I also do think that there are absolutely negative implications of some people's weed use.
Everything in moderation.
There are tons of people that they fit every stereotype you'd think about the negative pothead. They've lost all drive and motivation to do anything. They're chilling on their mom's couch in the basement, even though I'm chilling on my mom's couch in the basement. There is a large aspect of these guys that just, they've lost all will to want to do anything because the pot is what motivates them in any sort, way, shape, or form. And you also have, there's some things that I'm not cool with. I don't like that I'm walking around DC, I'm walking into a fucking Culver or some shit, and somebody's vaping that shit and blowing it in my fucking face. I'm a cigarette smoker, and they look at me like I'm fucking a filthy, dirty, rotten animal. And I'm like, I don't want to be high right now. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, we gone so far in this way. Like, there are people that just don't give a shit. But that goes to what I'm saying about America. There's one quote that I have, or there's a motto that I have that I think should be the new motto for America. More than E Pluribus Unum, it needs to be, American individualism is a suicide pact. And the reason I say it is that I think that is the core fundamental issue when it comes to us. There's ego and individualism. We do not think about the collective in the things that we do.
I mean, you look at mass shootings. I think that would also lend itself. Yeah, I think you're 100% right there. That is a very interesting. Is a very, very interesting saying. Yeah.
Do not think about others. And when I'm talking about my drug use and everything else, I'm thinking about what it does and what it is and how it is we could do to unlock certain aspects of who it is we are.
Sure.
And I think we're getting to bring it to something we talked about on the after the pod multiple times passes before this. So we talked about as far as AI and what that means as far from the societal standpoint. Because I actually think that AI, what people need to look at when it comes to AI is there's always a lower class. Slavery still exists It's just different now than it used to be.
Okay.
What people need to realize is that all the AI and robotics and shit is going to do is create a new lower class that are our slaves, which is going to make everybody kind of be more prosperous than those guys are. And then there'll be talks about it. But the moment that you start realizing like jobs don't mean the same thing that they already don't really mean what it is they used to mean. When you start realizing that like people's worth and value and what it is we rate success on is completely different. Couple that with what I think we should do if we start unlocking certain things like mushrooms and hallucinogens and all that. I think we are primed, hopefully within my lifetime, to reach an age of enlightenment for human beings, the world which we could not comprehend. And I think it all has to do with each other. I think we're reaching this human singularity sort of thing that's going to be fucking amazing. I really do hope. I'm here for it. I doubt it because I'll probably die pretty
Yeah, but you also mentioned ChatGPT writing movie scripts for you. Maybe it writes this one. It's a good movie. I watch it. Are you kidding me? Just to see what it looks like?
I'm telling you, I wrote a movie. I'm actually really, really proud. I think I could shoot this. Like, my brother-in-law is a videographer. And I'm like, this is feasible to actually shoot. And I don't know, but here we go. I'm not high right now. So right now, I'm talking about this with false bravado. I think it's a piece of shit. But I was high when I wrote it, and I thought it was great. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like,
but who's to say who's right? High KDot or, not high.
Well, you heard
so
everybody knows about the movie Air, the new movie with did you hear how that came to be?
No.
20-something-year-old failed basically screenwriter over the course of the pandemic, lost his job and just started. He watched the Last Dance, saw the one particular scene about Air Jordans and said that should be a movie. Wrote the screenplay in his fucking house. Got on the blacklist. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck said, we want it. And they worked with him and gave him full writing credit.
That's amazing.
Shit happens. I'm saying, and the thing that the pandemic realized is that when you had people that lost their jobs and were getting the $600 pandemic boost when it came to unemployment, you started seeing people actually fall into place with what they really want to do and be. And that to me is exciting.
Absolutely.
And that to me is the huge thing that we might be able to get to. Circling
this back all the way to what your brain allows you to do and not allow you to do. It primarily functions, your inner voice is a product of probably genetics to a certain extent, but to me, it's mostly how you grew up, right? Based on, if you burn yourself on the stove, what's your inner voice going to say the next time you're near a stove? Be careful, right? It's just like a very basic example. You're going to go a little slower, okay? If you trip down the stairs, you maybe walk a little slower next time. It's not like I've done this a million times and I just fell that one time. You then are like, oh my gosh, stairs could be scary. Like, people have experiences like that. When you have nothing to lose and those guardrails automatically drop because you go, what am I even protecting myself from? The brain primarily functions to protect yourself. It's a survival instinct. Well, what happens when there's nothing to protect yourself from? Like you're saying, I think people align with, what do we really want to do? Because fuck it. Let's do it. What do we have to lose? Nothing. So just to bring it fully back to the very beginning of it, I completely agree with you. It's fascinating.
Job with that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it's so good to see you're so clear-headed before you go do a bunch of cooking Clarendon.
And on that note, I have to go to Clarendon. So until then, guys. Appreciate you guys listening, man. Enjoy.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.